I also work with a lot of CEOs and sort of advising them on how to run their businesses. And one of the things I work with them on is recruiting. And oftentimes what I tell them is that you have a recruiting system. If the kind of recruits you're getting you don't like, you should go back and you want to systematically fix the system, right? So what a lot of firms seem to be doing is they seem to be doing a lot more testing, getting empirical data, right? Because they're data-driven, on whether or not the candidates are good in a collaborative environment and whether they can present. Okay, so the variations I've heard, but I have never been seen personally, are they will give a case to a group of 3 people, and you sort of do it together, right? So basically what that really is, they want to see if you're an asshole. That's really what it is, right? Because you could, if you're in there with people from other schools, if you pull what I call, in Goodwill Hunting, the Harvard, well, Harvard, we think that it's this, right? Dude, you're gone, right? Other ones are, I've heard of cases where it's all done, and now you have to present. So that's a lot more similar to what you guys are used to. And that's more about, can someone synthesize? And so what I infer from that is certain firms probably had problems with getting people who could do frameworks and cases, but they couldn't present to clients. And so therefore, they were no longer independent, right? And so which caused issues in terms of how they think about their business. And same with like collaboration. If they're getting people who are sort of very abrasive, they don't have good people skills either internally or especially with a client. Like if you screw up a client situation, that's like really bad. And so they're probably testing a lot of that. And once you understand the mindset, which we talked about this morning, it makes a lot of sense, right? If you're concerned about people being jerks, then you put them in a collaborative environment and you see if they become a jerk. And if they're in an interview environment, they're likely to be a jerk, in a client situation. Same with collaboration, and that's probably a big one because there you just want to pretend like you're not in an interview and do it like you would in a regular business environment. And it really is, we're all peers. If it's a good idea, say it's a good idea, let me add to that, or politely say I disagree with that. I think we can go in a different direction because of X, Y, and Z. So those are sort of the variations I've seen mostly around firms. I get the impression it's not, they're sort of still doing the core traditional case interviews and then adding on some of these as opposed to replacing it. That's the impression I have, but I don't know for sure.
Sure. One thing I noticed is going to some McKinsey practice cases is that McKinsey asks you many questions within one larger question, but they sort of lead you through it. Whereas some of the other things I've seen, you have to be more self-directed and you have to keep on pushing the case forward.
That probably varies more by individual interviewer. Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily draw a conclusion that a firm has one bias or another. I'll tell you how I started interviewing. It was, oh crap, someone's sick today. Victor, can you step in? Right, by the way, you got 3 minutes. So I'm going up the elevator. Okay, I got to do a case. Gosh, it's snowing outside. Oh, wow, they're ice skating. I'm doing an ice skating case. Okay, and so, the interview is thinking like, I'm trying to like sabotage them, make life difficult. And I'm just trying to get you off my to-do list. Right, and I just pulled something, just looking out the window, I saw something interesting, and I'm making up numbers just like I did earlier today. Because that was just happening with the situation. If I was sort of had a little more advanced notice, I'd probably organize my thoughts in my current case, remember some key numbers, see if they sort of add up, if it would be a nice clean case, and my preference would be to actually use a real case because the numbers are more interesting. So the only difference between sort of real cases and the ones you sort of see me sort of demonstrate will be you will get more hard numbers. And it won't be as elegant and clean and obvious a conclusion as like the NBA China case, where I clearly wanted to make one conclusion. It'll be a little more convoluted. So it's a little harder. It won't be obviously one key factor driving. It'll be like one big thing, one medium thing, a lot of little things. And then you have to sort of recognize that and make some adjustments accordingly. Okay, yes?
Understanding that it's a judgment call, when you're going through the next few cases, would you mind helping us kind of look at when you've kind of found the aha?
Okay.
Move on to another part, because I feel like some of us have a tendency to go really deep, and even past the aha, we're trying to dig even deeper.
Good point. Okay.
We don't know how to like find problems 2 and 3 because we can't get off solving problem number 1.
I'll do that, and also give you a rule of thumb. It's partly a function of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a 40-minute case interview, let's say 30-minute case interview, your framework has 4 parts. Right, so you get like what, 7 minutes, 7.2 minutes, whatever it is, per branch. If it's a very interesting one and you go 10 minutes, you're probably okay. If you're still at 20 minutes and you get 1 branch and you get 10 minutes to do the other 3, you probably won't get enough of the information to make an intelligent sort of recommendation. Right. So part of it is sort of time-based, and the rule of thumb is if it's interesting and clearly relevant, but a little counterintuitive. You're not sure what's going on, but something weird is going on. It's worth the extra time. Otherwise, you hit 7 minutes, it's probably a good time to sort of moving on. But I'll do that because actually, that's a good point. I can see why someone would notice that.